Championships mean more than money. That's right. That's what the new term, the new phrase your franchise quarterback Jalen Hurts said yesterday at his press conference. And Rodgers finally traded. Who cares? Adam Mack, Iron Pigs, Phillies Iron Pigs, AAA affiliate reporter, joins us at 8:30. We've got such a jam-packed episode of Trending the AM. We had to start 15 minutes early. Starts in 30 seconds, the show. And a very good morning, everybody. Welcome to Trending in the AM right here on Philadelphia Sports Network. We're live, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. You know the drill. Like, share, retweet, follow on all social media platforms. Do me that favor. Hit the like and the subscribe button. Head over to the YouTube page. It's the best place to get interactive with the show. We can hear all your thoughts, questions, comments. We've got a lot going on today. We're going to talk a little Eagles, a little football to start the show at 8:30. Adam Mack from AAT Sports. He is joining us. He is going to talk with us about the Phillies. He's in Lehigh Valley every single day covering the Iron Pigs. He's got a very good pulse on the Phillies organization as a whole. So we are going to talk to him at 8:30 for a little while about our Fighting Phils. Then after that, maybe we'll get back into some football, some basketball, whatever else comes up in the conversation. Good morning, one and all. Just a little shout out, some business. Make sure you are subscribed to the Philadelphia Sports Network YouTube page, because we are going to be live through the entirety of the draft, all of round 1 through 7, every round live on our YouTube page. A wide range of all the writers from the Philadelphia Sports Network, Liam, Brian, Nick, everybody. There's going to be so many people live on the channel. You're not going to want to miss it, so make sure you check it out and hit that subscribe button. Hit that little bell in the bottom. That's how you turn the notifications on, and that will make sure you don't miss it when we go live. Also, pinned on my Twitter page, @BeardedKnowledge, and in the bio of this show, I have a new T-shirt site up. Great way to support local podcasters, to support their merch, purchase their merch. Check it out. Only a few logos up so far, but some great designs will be dropping. I'm thinking about a championship is greater than money kind of shirt. Working out on some of those details in my head right now. But anyway, as I said yesterday, Jalen Hurts spoke to the media for the first time since signing his $255 million contract. Today's what? Tuesday? So Tuesday, Wednesday. We're 3 days till the draft. On a little side note, Facebook memories get me all the time. I love going through Facebook memories before I had Twitter, before I was doing all this stuff. And I used to put a lot of my thoughts on there. And today, 10 years ago today, we heard these famous words from Roger Goodell. With the 4th pick in the 2013 NFL Draft, the Eagles select tackle from Oklahoma, Lane Johnson. And it was one of the best things. There were so many busts in that 2013 draft. Deion Jordan went 1 pick ahead of us to the Dolphins. D. Milner went a few picks later to the Raiders. So many bad picks. And we've got one of the best right tackles in football because of that. It was an amazing moment. It's great to see that memory. I was happy. I was excited when the move was made. It's great that it paid off and it worked out because, you all know I'm not always right. I'm not even close to always being right, but, I do my best. I love to brag the once in a rare blue moon when I am right. But anyway, that's beside the point. Yesterday, Jalen Hurts spoke. Like I said, there's voluntary OTAs going on right now at the NovaCare complex. We all know Nick Sirianni doesn't get very physical at first in this part of the offseason. It's not like everybody's there. You haven't even completed the draft yet. There's just basic workouts going on, some film study, maybe some gym work and stuff like that. So there's not much to talk about from that. But you got to remember something. Jalen Hurts is 24 years old. And you heard Nick Sirianni, well, you heard Jeffrey Lurie talk about it. And you see it when you hear Jalen Hurts talk. The maturity level of an NFL quarterback, but just of a human being at 24 years old. It's astounding how mature, how smart, how well grounded Jalen Hurts is. And we could play this into, again, we're waiting for Adam Mack. He'll be joining us in 10 minutes. So we're going to talk Eagles here for a little bit in football, before we get to Phillies conversation. But just think about it. You got the whole Aaron Rodgers situation that just went down between Green Bay and the New York Jets. He's finally traded. And we'll get into that trade in a second. But just think about it. Like the drama that has surrounded Aaron Rodgers his whole, not just lately, his entire career. Always something going on in Green Bay. And he won one Super Bowl. He's one of the greatest quarterbacks, don't get me wrong, of all time, Aaron Rodgers. Greatest throwers of the football. Won one Super Bowl. He just always gravitated towards drama. Always something going on with his coach or the front office or one of his players. He's, 37, 38 years old now, Aaron Rodgers? Been in the league for 15 years or whatever it is. And then you got a guy like Jalen Hurts, who probably could have demanded an 100% guaranteed contract, but knows that it's more important for him to take what money he needs, what he wants, what he deserves, but also leave money on the table for the team, because championships are more important than money. You always think about it with Tom Brady. Tom Brady, I don't think, was ever the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. I don't think he was. At least most of his majority of his career when he was at his peak, which he was still kind of sort of at his peak the last 2 years, which is insane to think about for a 40. So I'm 42. I've never been at the peak of anything since I hit 40. Anyway, but just to think about Jalen Hurts and the way he talked yesterday when he met with the media. I mean, yeah, we get a lot of cliche, T-shirt worthy sayings from him. Rent is due. Championships is greater than money. But realistically, what he doesn't just speak the speak in front of the microphone. He goes out and does it in front of the media, in front of his teammates, in the locker room, in the workout, on the field, during the games. This guy just leads by example. And you think about it. In Philadelphia, we could get off of the Aaron Rodgers for a second and just think about Philadelphia and the amount of drama we've had just in Philadelphia with quarterbacks, with Carson Wentz, Donovan McNabb, Michael Vick, Randall Cunningham. Honestly, the older people remember Randall Cunningham was great, but there was drama with Randall Cunningham. Championships are greater than money. Stop, says the guy that is now making around $50 million a year. Come on now. He could have gotten more. He gave up some of his guaranteed money. Dude, I mean, if you've got a problem with Aaron Rodgers at this point, I don't know what to tell you. Or not Aaron Rodgers, with Jalen Hurts. I don't know what to tell you, my man. The guy exudes confidence and leadership and does what's best for everybody involved. And he ain't going to be the highest paid player for very long, because Joe Burrow's going to get more money, Justin Herbert's going to get more money, and Lamar Jackson's going to get more money. So him being the highest paid player is going to last for like 3 weeks. What's up, my man, Drew? Thanks for checking in, my man. I hope you're well. But the point of what I'm trying to make is that whatever you think of him, he sacrificed a little bit. How did he not? I mean, you got to tell me that he couldn't have gotten more than $179 million guaranteed, that basically in 3 years, the contract's going to be torn up and redone, because all the cap hit money and all the guaranteed cap hit stuff is going to be on the voidable end of the contract, which is basically going to be restructured in 2026. So he basically let the team structure the contract so that it's best for the team, and he's not getting all that money up front. So I don't know. If you got a problem with Jalen Hurts, just tell me. If you don't think he's a good quarterback, just tell me. But to act like he's not, helping the team in some way, plus on top of all that, the leadership factor that he brings into it, the lack of drama that he brings to the table. Would you rather the Aaron Rodgers drama on a daily basis? Because I wouldn't. Would you like the Lamar Jackson drama on a daily basis? Would you like? There's so much drama around so many quarterbacks in the NFL, and we've got the least dramatic quarterback in the NFL. And you're gonna complain? I mean, I just disagree with you on that. I really do. I think this is the part. He didn't sacrifice. He made something that was mutual beneficial to everybody involved. If he signs a different style contract, different structured contract, we might not have been able to bring back Slay or Bradbury. We might not be able to go out and make moves throughout the rest of the summer to build this team. We wouldn't be talking about Derrick Henry. Not that I think that's going to happen, but if it did, like so many things that he did are being done so we can keep the window. And I talk about it all the time on this show. You got to have your timing, your win now timing of when you can win. The Eagles can win now for the next 2 or 3 years. There's a window of opportunity. The NFC is terrible right now. They are the dominant team. They are the alpha males in the NFC. So he structured his contract so that they could capitalize on that win. Now, you look at the Aaron Rodgers, what the Jets gave to the Packers, whatever you think of the deal. It doesn't make the Jets a better team, really. Because not only do they got to get out of the tough AFC East, the AFC East is a juggernaut with the Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills. You also got the Bengals. You got the Chiefs. You got the Chargers. You got so many great teams in the AFC. The Jets still might not even make the playoffs next year. So they went all in on Aaron Rodgers, paying him $50 million to not even guarantee a playoff spot. The Eagles are doing things, and Jalen Hurts and Howie Roseman are doing things to capitalize this win now window, but they could go all in right now because the opportunity's there. Howie is free to be aggressive. I have friends that are Packers fans, and they're ecstatic. You know what? I put some posts out on social media yesterday, Kyle. There's quite a few Packers fans out there that are excited that this is done with and over with. And we're going to get back to this conversation in a second because I got joining me on the I Have No Sponsor hotline, my man Adam Mack, at Mac Adam 19. He is a reporter for AAT Sports. He covers the Iron Pigs. He talks Phillies nonstop on his podcast, Frankly Phils. And I got to say, I had a different intro for you, Adam, planned. But tonight, 9 p.m., I saw you tweet last night. You are going to have Mickey Morandini on your podcast. And I don't even care about the notes I have for today's show. I just want to talk about you talking to Mickey Morandini tonight. What's up, Adam?
What's up, man? How are we doing, brother?
I'm doing great. I'm glad to have you. I want to know, what's it like to send a message to Mickey Morandini? Can you come on my podcast? And he says yes. I mean, as a kid that grew up in the 80s and 90s, like, I'm jumping for joy for you.
I'm like, it's always weird when you send those messages out, and if someone finally responds to one, I don't think it'll actually hit me until like I actually get him on the show. Like, it's one of those things. Like, I think he's like trying to punk me right now.
I mean, yeah, I've had a few of those types of situations where they just don't show up and then you're left hanging and everything. But anyway, Adam, you do a great job covering the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs, the Philadelphia Phillies over at AAT Sports. And we want to talk a little Phillies. I do want to get into the Iron Pigs and the minor league system in a little bit. But I mentioned to you this weekend I had a post, a philosophy that the Phillies, they did take 3 or 4 of the Rockies. And they're 11-12 now. They've won a few series. And all the diehard Philly fans are jumping on board. They're back. They're this, they're that. And I just put out a basic post of saying, let's be patient. They beat the Rockies. You've got Seattle coming to town. Then you got the Astros, the Dodgers. You've got a really tough stretch of games. Do you think that the Phillies' success recently is more because of the teams we've been playing and less that they're getting things right? Or is there can we just be patient a little bit and see how they play against some real teams in Major League Baseball?
I think we needed the Rockies series more than anything. We really needed a series where we could go take 3 or 4, possibly even 4 games. We needed a really bad team to come in. We needed to actually just settle down, play good baseball. They're starting to have fun. Now we go into this tough stretch. It's going to be interesting how they do. It's tough because we're about to play 9, 10 games, however many are, with 3 of the better teams in all of baseball right now. Obviously the defending World Series champs, the Dodgers, who are always great, the Mariners, who are on the rise. I don't think we're going to succeed. I don't think we're going to come out of this above 500 in the next 3 series or how many we have against these tough teams. It's going to be tough. but I think it's a real good confidence booster. We're finally kind of getting just everything coming together. We started the season off pretty hard. The Rangers aren't a terrible team anymore. We
Mhm.
followed that up with the Yankees. Like, we started the season off with some tough opponents. They started slow, and it's just a big confidence booster from there. Um,
But
so I think
the confidence boost is great. But that confidence, if you let that confidence get you too overconfident, can't that like make a major letdown? If you go in the like, so you got Seattle for 3, then you got Houston for 3, and then the Dodgers. I was saying yesterday, I tacked on the Red Sox series and made it 16 total games. That the way Phillies fans are talking, that they're just going to cruise through these teams. And I'm like, if you go 6-8 in your next 14 games because of the level of opponent, that's almost a pretty good stretch to go.
Mhm.
But that doesn't mean if you go 6-8, doesn't mean you're a good team at this point. And I'm not trying to be negative on the Phillies, Adam. I'm just trying to be realistic at this point that they're not a complete team yet,
Mm-mm.
and they're not. We don't even know what the identity of this team is at this moment.
No, the team is far from complete. Like, we're still missing Bryce Harper. Yeah, he's been in the dugout for a lot of the games, but just his presence in the lineup is a huge, huge loss. And obviously Hoskins, but fortunately Hoskins won't be coming back for a while. But we don't know what this team really is. And the big key for the Phillies until Harper comes back is just keeping this team afloat and keeping them competitive. That was kind of the whole goal when he went down last year. Try to keep this team afloat so when he comes back, we can make that playoff run, in which they did a great job. That's been the primary goal in my eyes for the team, especially now with Harper making a speedy recovery. Keep this team afloat, keep this team competitive.
Mm-hmm.
As of right now, they've done that. Now, is he going to come in and immediately this team's going to go on a 20-game win streak? They're going to be the best team in all of baseball? Absolutely not. Like, this is the way the Phillies are. They're going to lose some random games here and there. They're going to lose to a random team. Like, I have no hope that we'll sweep the Athletics whenever we play them. We won't sweep the season series with the Nationals. We'll probably lose a game or two against the Tigers. Like, we're going to lose these stupid games throughout the season. However, but I think we'll start to see a much more complete team once Harper and Ranger Suarez return to the
Actually,
active
I
roster.
was going to say something about Bryce Harper there, but you mentioned Ranger Suarez's name, and I think Ranger Suarez coming back is going to be a really interesting thing on what Rob Thompson and this organization does, because you've got Matt Strahm, who was
Mhm.
brought in here to be a reliever, but he's actually pitching pretty damn well out of the starting rotation. Bailey Falter hasn't been perfect, but he hasn't been bad, and he pitched pretty well big picture last year as well in that 5 slot. Ranger Suarez coming off of arm issues, like, you don't know what to expect. You there's going to be a lot of expectations on Ranger Suarez to come in, start, and be this great pitcher again. I keep saying, I know it's totally out of left field. I wouldn't be opposed to putting Ranger Suarez in the bullpen instead of putting him in the rotation and then moving Strom back to the bullpen at this point. Why mess with one of the few things that's working? And then you have Ranger Suarez as your long reliever when Strom can't get out of the 4th, when Bailey Falter can't get out of the 4th. You've got a guy that could go 3 innings for you in that. I mean, we used him in the bullpen last year in the playoffs, a few times. He's obviously got that bullpen mentality. Is it completely insane to think of, Ranger
No,
Suarez bullpen piece right now?
I think right now they don't want to run. Like, even Suarez last year when he was fully healthy, he wasn't a guy that was going to give you 7, 8, 9 innings. He
Exactly.
only went 5. I don't believe any of his playoff starts he went more than 5 innings.
Right.
Maybe got into the 6th and got pulled fairly early, but he wasn't a guy that went long into games. So I don't think we're going to see that again this year, even when he's fully healthy. He'll probably only go 3, 4 innings maximum. That would allow a guy like Matt Stram, Bailey Falter to then come in for an extra 4 or 5 innings. Then you've only used maybe 1 or 2 bullpen guys. So I think you'll see Suarez probably enter the rotation, but I think you'll see Bailey Falter, Matt Stram, whichever one they decide to put in the bullpen, follow it up and be
Like a
that kind of
piggyback
guy.
situation there, 3
Yeah.
and 3, 3 and 4. If you had a pick right now, who would you feel more confident leaving alone in the rotation, and who are you pairing with Ranger Suarez in that piggyback? Because the only problem with the piggyback situation there is Ranger's a lefty, and so is Matt Strom, and Bailey Falter's a lefty too, right? I
No, he's a
believe.
righty.
Is he righty? So
Yeah.
you would have to probably do the piggyback with that, because having that piggyback situation with 2 lefties, you could just stack the lineup with a bunch of righties and know you're just going to be facing that
Mhm.
lefty for 7 innings straight.
And that's the tough part because thinking about it, I would really like to keep Stram in the rotation. I think he's earned that opportunity. He's just been unhittable. Obviously, minus that one Reds game, but like every pitcher is going to have that one random game where they just pitches aren't going well for them. Bailey Falter, I think he's just needs a little bit more work out of the bullpen. He's definitely a guy I want to keep up in the MLB. There's no question. He should not be sent down at all once Ranger gets brought back up. I don't think there's a bad pick if you go either one, but right now I think Stram, just because he's a little bit more of a veteran player, and he's pitched against some of the better teams than Falter has. Like he completely shut down the Yankees really, really well. But I also wouldn't be surprised
the 11 strikeout effort kind of just totally, he was pitching really well. He had the one little hiccup. Then he goes out and strikes out 11 batters in his last outing. I'm like, how can you pull a guy like that from the rotation? I know Ranger is the guy, and you brought Strom here to be a reliever, but you just can't pull a guy when you've got a rotation with as many question marks as you have right now, and you've got one guy consistently pitching well, even though he was just the fill-in guy. You can't pull him from the rotation, in my opinion.
It's just all about pitch, like not going over 100 pitches, which sucks because you have guys like Wheeler and Strand who had these like really, really great outings. Yeah, they had a little hiccup in one random inning, but it's just all about going over the pitch, not throwing over 100 pitches in a start. And we kind of saw it a lot in the World Series last year where the Phillies pitchers just got to Houston and their arms were just tired. So I think, Thompson's looking a little bit more long-term right now and saying like, I don't want my guys going 9 innings, in April, May, and June when I might need them in October and November. So it's, I think, probably looking a little bit more long-term right now than anything because I don't want to see, if we do make it all the way back to the World Series, I don't want to see a repeat where our pitchers just, their arms just are done.
That's really what it was, is they were burned out by that point, by the time we got to the World Series. You mentioned Wheeler, you got Nola as well at the top. And I know that both Wheeler and Nola, their last few outings haven't been as bad, but they're still both having those one big blow-up innings. And there's a lot of Phillies fans that are really stressed out over Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler, including me. I can't shy away from the fact that I have been a little overreactionary.
We all are. We're Philly fans.
I mean, yeah, exactly. I'm sure you're freaking out when you see Aaron Nola, give up the big inning, or Zach Wheeler give up 3 runs or 4 runs in the third inning when he's just what was it, the last outing? He struck out 5 of the first 6 batters and then just got blown up in the third. His velocity hasn't been top notch, most games. Are you concerned about either or is it just still, they're still getting into shape from a long season last year? Because to me, that excuse is something that can linger then the whole entire year.
The issue my issues with each pitcher is different. So with Wheeler, he needs to adjust to the pitch clock. He was a pitcher last season that would take his time. He would throw a pitch, he would get resettled, he would take his time. This season, he has to speed it up a little bit. I love he was perfect for the first 3 innings in his last outing. He needs to learn how to pitch out of jams. And this is kind of also going off Nola, same thing. They need to learn how to pitch out of jams. Because it seems like you get one guy and it just starts to go downhill. You start to throw a couple more balls and then you start to keep, breaking balls over the plate a little bit more. So that's the biggest issue I've been seeing with those two. Because even Nola on opening day, he was perfect for the first 3 innings. And then that atrocious 4th inning, he gave up a hit, gave up that home run. And then all of a sudden, it just goes downhill. So they need to learn and settle down so much more. Yeah, it's a quicker inning now, but just patience when you get up to the mound.
The thing is, most pitchers are not affected. I agree that there are pitchers that are being affected, Mark, but there's plenty of pitchers that are. Opening day, there was just as many shutouts as there were big blowout type, high scoring games on opening day. So, some pitchers figured it out right away. Do you really truly believe that is what's affecting a lot of the pitchers in baseball? Is the pitch clock's affecting the pitchers a lot more than the hitters at this point?
I think so. We've seen it. The games are shorter, and the games are shorter because of the pitchers. The pitchers are the ones who are going to dictate the length of the game because they take their good time after throwing a pitch. For some pitchers, it's going to be 1 inning or not 1 inning, 1 minute in between pitches. Now you have to be 20, 30 seconds. So it's speeding the game up. Now, so for some pitchers, there's always those random pitchers that's how they always are. They just get the ball and they immediately are back on the rubber and they're throwing a ball, a half a second later. Zach Wheeler's was definitely not one of them. He was definitely a guy that always took his time, get a better grip, tossed the Rosenbag around a little bit more. But now he's had to speed up a little bit. Another big thing is I think they're still tired from last season. Aaron Nola specifically, he's used to his season coming to end mid to late September. Now he's having his season come to an end late to mid-November, and then it was a pretty quick turnaround to head to spring training. So I wanted to use that as an excuse. But
do you make anything with the Aaron Nola and the contract situation? Because I know to me, you bring up opening day and how he was cruising, and I instantly put out a Rounders tweet, paid that man his money. You know what I mean? And literally 30 seconds after I hit send on that tweet, here goes the big blow up inning. And, and to my mind, Aaron Nola is kind of one of those guys that you just never know what's going on in his head. He's a no emotion type pitcher. He's just always even Steven out there. And things did not go his way this offseason with the contract extension. We talk about the whole Jalen Hurts and his contract, and we started the show off talking that. It can work both ways, getting it or not getting. The pressure of signing the big contract, not getting what you're worth. You see what happened with Lamar Jackson turning down the one big offer, and then he gets hurt and has a bad season in Baltimore. Contract situations do weigh on these athletes. This is generational money that sets up these families for, generations. It's got to weigh on a player that there's got to be some pressing going on to an extent.
Things I knew he wants probably a giant contract. He probably saw something like Jacob deGrom got, and probably wanted something a little bit similar.
I was thinking more in the Carlos Rodon, range was what he should be looking for. But
he's not gonna get any type of contract at this point. He might get from a really bad team that just needs that great pitcher. I would say the Athletics, but they're broke. But a team like Detroit, Washington. Teams that are just really, really bad, they have the money right now, and he's going to get paid, but he's not going to be competing for a World Series, which has to be his goal right now. He doesn't have that many years left as a top-tier starting pitcher. I won't call him an ace, but one of the top-tier guys.
Mm-hmm. So, the pitching, it is what it is. I think at this point, it kind of will just balance itself out to an extent. You get Ranger back. It's not been awful. We'll see how they perform. We can get to the bullpen in a minute. But I want to get back to the offense because there's a lot of overachieving on the offense, maybe, and a lot of underachieving on the offense with some of the stars. You cover the Iron Pigs. You're a credentialed reporter. You're there in the club. I think, first and foremost, I've known you for a little while through back when I was still with AAT, sports and stuff like that. It's got to be a pretty awesome feeling. Me and you, we've been putting in a grind. You've been writing, me doing the podcast, and then when you get this opportunity to get your name on a badge, you are a credentialed reporter. It's got to be a pretty cool feeling, doesn't it?
I think I got it right here. Oh, here it is.
Oh, you actually had that would be never leaving my pocket because that would be the ultimate thing there to get my name on a credential thing right there.
I actually had to get two because the first one had my name wrong. 4 letters. They put an E instead of an A in the second.
I was like, how do you mess up Adam Mack? It's a pretty simple name right there. So anyway, what's it been like going to the games as a media member versus a fan? Because I'm always interested in that. I've never gotten to cover a game of any sport as a media member.
Surprisingly, I hate the press box. It's a great view, don't get me wrong, but I don't know. The other reporters are all just so.
Press box there in Lehigh for the Iron Pigs.
It's right above home plate.
Right above home plate, yeah.
I don't know. I don't like the press box as much. Yeah, it's a great view and everything, but no one in there talks. It's dead quiet. Everyone just seems like they're miserable the whole time. So I always sit out in the outfield, right behind the bullpen. I get to talk to the bullpen guys. Occasionally, some of the left fielders have come over and talked. Actually get in-game conversations. It's so much a better view too. But it's been super cool.
Is it like that because? And don't take this the wrong way. When you're covering the Iron Pigs and you're covering a AAA team versus a major league team, you're still working your way up. You know what I mean?
Oh
The
yeah.
goal for your goal would probably be to do this and piggyback this into becoming a Phillies reporter. You know what I mean? Is that why a lot of these people are just miserable because they're stuck covering AAA and they're not looking at it as an opportunity to get to the big leagues?
Probably, I always see like Comcast Sportsnet was in there, CBS Sports is in there. I'm like, there's no way there's someone just not covering the actual Phillies game right now. That's probably the person you're jealous of right now. Fortunately, I don't have that person at AT Sports. That was just me right now, so I have no one to really be jealous. And I'm like, I just having the opportunity to write, tweet, and just talk baseball. Like,
That's awesome.
what more could somebody want in just life right there?
So that you're at the games, you're covering the team, and we can get to the Phillies in a second, but I want to know what's going on in AAA because we've got some holes that could be filled on the team. You got Cody Clemens. He's just not. He's just not ready. I know he had a big home run on Sunday, I think it was, but he's just not ready to be on that bench. You can always upgrade. I know he's hitting like 300 now, but yeah, Christian Pache, who's everybody's least favorite but favorite Philly. Is there any bench help at AAA that could be, or any pieces at AAA that could be brought up to help improve this Phillies bench as we continue to hang on till Bryce Harper's here? Because I read an article yesterday. Scott Kingery, it looks like he's having an awful start to the season down there. I
Oh,
thought
no,
he
it's the opposite. He's doing great. All time. He's the best Phillies minor league player of all time.
thought
I'm
he was
naming
hitting
him
like
that.
200 or something like that. I read in an article, and he hadn't hit a home run since like the opening weekend, is what I had read.
That is true.
Yeah, but he's playing great defense. He's got a lot of steals. So I thought he should have made the team over Cody Clemens, honestly. But that's another subject there. Is there anyone down there you see that could provide an instant benefit to this Phillies team right now?
Yeah, so there is one. The only one I think is definitely MLB ready, and that's gonna be Dalton Guthrie. He started the season with the Phillies. I know he was up and down last year. I'm not quite sure how consistent, but I know he got a ring from the NL Championship. So I
I
know
think he actually was on one of the rounds of the playoffs roster. He
that
wasn't
would
on
make
every round.
sense.
He was on either the NLCS or the NLDS roster,
That
and
makes
then they
sense.
swapped him out with Maton the next round.
Gotcha. So yeah, he's started the season off, which I expected him to make the opening day roster. I thought there was kind of no question behind that. But obviously got sent down to AAA right after opening day. He's been really, really good offensively and defensively. He's played 75% of his time at right field, and then 20% in center, and then 5% at DH. They've been rotating the DH spot between like 8 or 9 guys a lot down there. But he's been really good offensively. Prior to the game I was at on Thursday, he had a 14 game on base streak. So it's been really, really solid, consistently get on base, some really nice at bats. Defensively, nothing crazy. He's not making these flashy plays or anything. Like, he's definitely not a guy that I would like, we're going to bring him up because he's going to be a great defensive presence for us. And he's on the 40-man roster, which would be a nice thing. We wouldn't have to change anything that part up around. He's only one of
That's the big thing right there. There's only two guys that are
they three.
off
They
the
just
hitter
added someone
that are
new.
on the. They added somebody new.
Yeah, Jalen Ortiz, who's the number 18
Okay.
prospect. I completely spaced when I said there was only two. I forgot he was on the developmental list, so he wasn't showing up on my roster. But now he's back. The issue with like this comment, we don't know. There's no infielders on the 40-man roster down in AAA.
And that's the problem. And I wanted to bring up. I read an article yesterday. I was getting prepped for today. I don't follow the Iron Pigs on a daily basis. I read an article yesterday that there's an infielder that's tearing it up at AAA right now, and he's not on the 40-man roster. And that's Weston Wilson.
Yeah.
What do you see? Like, I think I saw they played third, first, and maybe second. I forget exactly where, but I just pulled up the stats. He's hitting 225 only, but he's got 5 home runs, 12 RBIs. He's got a bunch of hits, a couple steals. Any thoughts on someone like him, someone not on the 40-man roster that might be worth a look to add to the 40-man roster?
Yeah, so he's actually definitely one of those guys. He's been a really, really hot bat for the team. He is a power hitter, which is a tough thing because he doesn't get on base as much as we would kind of like. But he's definitely a guy that has been tearing it up right now. The offense down in Lehigh Valley has been unbelievable. It's been the starting pitching. Sounds familiar to another team within this organization. But another one is Vimel Machine. He's the same thing, a utility guy, primarily second and shortstop. But like I said, he rotates in with the DHs a lot. He's been really, really solid right now for the team. He's kind of gone cold. He started off like unbelievable, like batting like 600 on the season. I think he's dipped down a lot since then. But defensively, because that's always going to be the Achilles heel for the Phillies come down the stretch, he's been unbelievable. He's been absolutely nothing can get by him. He's really decent speed in the field. So that's another guy I would like to see up. Last guy is Simone Muzziotti. He's the Phillies' 10th overall prospect. I know he got called up towards the end of last year. I don't believe he ever made a playoff roster. Yeah, I didn't think so. He's been unbelievable. Not just like he has great at-bats, great defensive plays. He's playing with so much confidence. And he looks like a seasoned veteran, just the great swings he has. He had 2-game winners in a 3-game stretch for the Iron Pigs. So I wouldn't be surprised if he gets called up at some point this season.
I was looking at when I saw the Weston Wilson, I brought that name up because, and I don't want to focus in on just him, but one of the things that this Phillies team lacks is power. Honestly, if you think about it, they've got 25, 27 home runs, whatever it is. But I mean, Sunday, I think it was Stott's home run, was the first home run in like 2 weeks with a runner in scoring position. 90% of their home runs are solo home runs this year. Like, it's insane how few home runs are being hit, with runners on base. But it also just goes to show that there is no power pop bat. And yes, Bryce Harper coming back will help that. Losing Rhys Hoskins and Derek Hall hurt that. And I just saw Weston Wilson 5 home runs, in his 70 at bats. I'm like, that's something that could help this team immediately, is having that pop on the bench. What do you think is the reason for the Phillies' lack of home run production at this point?
I think it's the big thing is like we don't have power hitters. We lost our 2 power hitters right now. One of them fortunately is coming back, hopefully in the next couple weeks. But losing Harper and Hoskins, they were our power hitters. Like, we had guys throughout the playoffs who had a bunch of big home, like Bohm had a home run, Marsh had a couple of home runs, JT had a couple of home runs, but they're not home run power hitters.
Right.
They're contact guys. And even Trey Turner, everyone's freaking out because it took Trey Turner 3 weeks to get a home run. And oh my God, it's the worst contract in all of baseball and all this other crap. It's like Trey Turner last year, yeah, he hit 27 home runs, but it took him to game 41 to hit his first.
Wow.
So
I didn't realize it was that long.
He goes on these giant stretches of no home runs. We'll have like 5 and 10 games, but then like go on these like super like no
So
home
he's basically
run
another
droughts.
Kyle Schwarber. He has one really hot month that pads his stats in the power production category.
Yeah, even like Schwarber, like how many home runs he had last year, like he's not gonna replicate that.
Right.
Like Castellanos, like even though he is known for being a power hitter, like he started off kind of slow, like but he's kind of got his like act together, but like he's just missing the fence essentially. Like the amount of times Castellanos has hit a stand-up double and the ball has hit the fence has been tremendous. Like just had like a little bit more power, he'd be leading the MLB in home runs. So it's not like he's like not hitting the ball.
Castellanos, I've said, if you really break down his career stats year by year, he is not a home run hitter. He never has been. Outside of that last year in Cincinnati, before we gave him the big deal, he led the league in doubles multiple. Like you have a better chance of him getting 50 doubles a year than 30 home runs a year, and that's just the kind of hitter he's always been. But back to Schwarber for a second, because one of the things I've been ultra critical of, and some people say it's no big deal. I think it's critical, and it's Rob Thompson's lineup creation, on a day out basis. And I know the Schwarber or the Harper situation, the Hoskins situation, even the Derek Hall situation has affected how the lineups are written. But he still keeps throwing Kyle Schwarber in the 3-hole, which to me, the 3-hole is your best hitter, your Chase Utley of the team, your Bryce Harper of the team. I don't know why he keeps throwing Schwarber there, because that is not where Kyle Schwarber should be hitting in this lineup. I mean, I didn't like him in the leadoff spot last year. It worked, but I would even rather him in the leadoff spot. I'm not saying take Stott out of it, not saying that. Just saying it just in a Schwarber situation, he's better in the leadoff spot than the 3 spot. It's an awful spot for Kyle Schwarber in the 3 hole. Do you agree with that, or do you agree with the criticism of Rob Thompson's lineup construction on a day in, day out basis?
That's probably been the worst part of the entire team. Has just been inconsistent lineups from the team. I love Stott and Turner at 1-2. Truly interchangeable. Like if he were to start switching Turner and Stott from here on out, like I wouldn't have a giant problem. I think they're both interchangeable guys. It just sucks right now that Schwarber kind of is going to be one of our better hitters right now. But thinking about like the only 2 other guys I would be kind of comfortable putting at that 3 are going to be Bohm and Marsh right now. But you want to get
See, and that's the thing. Like you've got like I hear a lot of people there. Look, Marco say it in the comments that I'm a Philly Rob hater. I'm not a Philly Rob hater. I just am openly critical of some of his decisions he makes. And everybody keeps saying that the super positive people are like, well, you need Bohm in the 7 hole to turn the lineup over. That's a load of crap, in my opinion. Like Bohm right now is one of your better hitters. Like in my opinion, it should stay Stott, Turner, and you put Bohm in the 3 hole. You know what I mean? That's where you need to go. I actually liked Marsh in the 9 hole, but with the issues with this team with missing pieces, you can't do that. But I just think you're wasting Bohm's opportunity. I wanted to say this before. You got Bohm, you got Stott, and you got Marsh all playing at a level like, I mean, they're like taking huge Jalen Hurts type jumps in their production from last year to this year. And it's like somebody's going to come back down to earth. One of these guys is going to have a cold streak soon here. You got to capitalize on it while they're hot. Bohm is hot right now. He needs to be in the 3 hole, in my opinion.
No, I definitely would love to see him in that 3 hole. I think he would definitely succeed a lot more, kind of batting a little bit higher up in the lineup right now. I really don't know what Thompson is thinking much with Schwarber at 3. But just kind of thinking like you want Schwarber to be kind of higher up. I think like the idea behind it is Stott and Turner, between 1 or 2 of them, they're gonna get on base. They're both on base guys. Especially with both of their speeds, even a walk. Like we saw it a couple times, like a Schwarber double is gonna score Turner from first. Maybe not Stott, but Schwarber's still gonna score Turner. So I think that's the idea behind it.
But you got a guy. You got a guy that hits 220 maximum in his career hitting in your 3 hole. So that's the problem. Like you get those big hits from Schwarber, but you also get just as many strikeouts and pop ups and get out in front of a changeup or something like that. And that's the problem to me.
Yeah, and I think that's been the big downside for the Phillies so far this season is, like I said earlier in the show, is like the biggest goal right now is keeping this team afloat until Harper returns, which I really think is going to be sooner rather than later. So that's the kind of thing I'm hoping, like, when Harper returns to this lineup, like, he's not probably going to go to the 4. He should go to the 3 hole right off the bat, because he's even more of a contact guy.
What do you think about that? Rob Thompson said a couple days ago, and I'm sure this is disappointing to hear for you, because I'm sure you would love that Bryce Harper down there or not down there, up there in Lehigh Valley area, but he's not going to have any rehab starts. He's just going to, when he's cleared, he's just going to jump right in the Phillies lineup. As a reporter, I'm sure you're disappointed in that, but as a fan, how do you feel about that? Because it's a crazy thought that he's getting enough work in the cages and in batting practice that when it's time, yeah, you're there. You're right in the 3 hole.
Yeah, as a reporter, I liked it, not liked it, because if I sat in the press box every game, I'm like, I would have loved to see him down there, because I would obviously have a great guaranteed seat. But I know whichever game he's at, they're going to be absolutely sold out. My little spot that I have that no one ever bothers me is going to be probably taken by some little snobby kid screaming at the bullpen for a ball. But like as a fan, like obviously I remember I went the Trenton Thunder. I grew up like 10 minutes from them. I always loved like they're always the Yankees, but it was always cool when like those guys had rehab starts. Like the stadium filled up. It was always super cool. Like so as like a fan, like it would have been cool to see like there's an MLB guy at a pretty small field. Like you get like a front row seat to see him. But like to see him like just join the lineup, I think is gonna be a big boost. He looks great in like the batting practice he's took. the simulated games he's done. I would have personally liked to see him do at least just one rehab start, even if it's just for one at bat. He gets up, has a home run, call it a day, like just to really make sure like
Right.
he's
What,
ready to go. Like he's
what
fully
I mean,
healthy, like everything feels good.
it feels like he's a machine. I know they used to joke, what didn't they call Albert Pujols the machine? I
Yeah.
mean, literally, this guy. It's been like 3 minutes since he had Tommy John surgery, and he's out there swinging a bat. He's already throwing light tosses around. They're trying to transition him into a first baseman, which is just crazy, but not an awful idea. Just completely
Mhm.
crazy. I think there was even talk that if he couldn't throw, that they were still going to make him a first baseman just to, and even if he couldn't make the throw to second base, whatever. It's just, it's it's insane. It literally is insane that we're already. It is April 25th, and we're like I swore it wasn't going to be till July 1st. I put it
No.
at over. I said over under June 30th on the preview show of the season, and I said over June 30th because nobody comes back that quickly from Tommy John surgery, and it might be May 5th or May 6th, and we see him in the lineup.
You also got to realize though he's not a pitcher.
I know.
So, like, the recovery for Tommy John surgery when you don't have to throw is much shorter, which everyone hears Tommy John surgery, and rightfully so, because I was the same way. You hear Tommy John surgery, you go, shit, we're gonna see him in August and September. It's like a crazy. He's not gonna be the same player, but then you gotta realize he's not a pitcher. He's still
Right,
an
right.
injured.
See, what I was doing was I was comparing it to when Ohtani had his Tommy John surgery,
Mhm.
and he had it 1 month sooner than Harper because that year, as every year, the Angels didn't make the playoffs. Sorry, I like to throw that joke in there whenever I can. And he came back as a DH mid-June,
Mhm.
and Harper had it 1 month later. So I figured DH mid-July, because let's be honest, Ohtani is a machine as well. I mean,
Mhm.
there's no baseball player on earth that I've seen in the last 10, 15, 20 years that could do the things Ohtani does. So that I was making my judgment based off of another machine in Ohtani right there, and you know, just to think that Harper's the greater machine than he is. I'm just thinking of some sci-fi movie where one machine's battling another. It's kind of crazy, and it's fun. It's why Bryce Harper is such a well-loved person in this city because he gets the Philadelphia mindset, the hard work, the putting in the effort to just lay it out all out on the field at all times.
I said this about 3 individuals in Philadelphia: him, Embiid, and Sirianni. No 3 individuals have embraced working, playing, coaching, whatever it might be, the city of Philadelphia more than those 3. And,
Yes,
like, we're seeing this right now with
gotta throw
Harper.
Jalen Hurts in that list too.
Yeah, but at the time, it wasn't this is before, like, he, like, really progressed and stuff. It was just, like, all of Sirianni's shirts that like, every new shirt that he wears at every press conference
I used
and
to call it.
telling the refs to go fuck yourself.
Yeah,
Um,
it was called T-shirt gate on this show.
yeah. Yeah, and, like, Harper's, like, a probably, like, he embraced the city so, so well, and so anyone that ever said like, the freaking guy yesterday, the Phillies are gonna trade him to the Pirates,
I saw that.
Harper's not going anywhere. Like, you gotta
Well,
remember
hold on,
that
hold
contract.
on. You do got a guy in the comment section here, Mark Moscatelli,
Oh
that's been
god.
on the Harper will get traded to Las Vegas when Oakland moves to Las Vegas. And Mark, no, Bryce Harper's going to be a Philly for the rest of his career. You know,
He said when he signed that contract, "I want no opt-outs, I want no trade clause, I want a forever home, man." But, like, even if, like I think last year's World Series run, like, really helped him, and, like, he definitely wants to now win a championship in Philadelphia, but, like, he's just embracing the team, like, he has the Philly Fanatic headband every game. Opening day when he runs out, he's wearing bright green shoes for the Fanatic, like, he embraces the city of Philadelphia just so, so well, and, like, him just putting in the extra work, wanting to get back on the field, wanting to make another run, just shows you how much he wants to be here and wants to win in Philadelphia.
and as soon as he's back, I mean the energy. I mean, as a fan, as a critical fan that I am, my energy hasn't been at its height yet. With this team, but I like to try to be very realistic and all. But the fans they're still selling out the park most nights. I think I was listening to the radio the other day when I was driving around, and they said it's been like 39,000 they're averaging per game this year. So the fans are still coming out, even though the product hasn't been perfect. But once Bryce Harper comes back, like the jolt of adrenaline it's going to give to the team and the fans, that alone can translate to more wins for the hitters, for the pitchers, for the fans, for across the board. Having Bryce Harper back active on the team is a major jolt for this team.
I think the one big thing that the Phillies need to separate themselves from where they are now to making them one of the top 10 teams in Major League Baseball is they need their 10th man back. There's no doubt in my mind if the Philly fans weren't as crazy and rowdy as they were throughout the playoffs, that we would have gone on that amazing playoff run. I was at game 4 of the NLDS when they clinched against Atlanta, and I could tell you how just a hostile environment it was. It was insane. I remember when they got the final out, like the stadium was shaking. Like it was a tough place to play.
Your hands actually shake from the noise.
Yeah. They remember the Harper and Bohm home runs in the World Series. They had a registered earthquake. Like, I think Harper rejoining that lineup, he's gonna have one big home run, and the stadium's going to erupt. And he's gonna do a curtain call, and the stadium's gonna get even more rowdy. Like, we need that back. Like, we need that energy. And unfortunately, like, we don't have that guy. Like, who's gonna be?
Have you been to a game yet this year? Because I have not.
I've not yet. Schedule did not work in my favor.
The stadium is full, but it doesn't have that same energy, and it's tough. Baseball's a long season, etc. But it's tough to, keep that energy all season. But they haven't had a reason to have that energy yet. Has there been a clutch home run at a key moment or a big 3 strikeout inning at a key moment to close the game? There hasn't been that iconic moment yet this season.
No, that's the difficult thing is like we spent a lot of games on the road, and the good opponents we played have been away. Like it would have been great to bring the Yankees into town. Like it's gonna be nice to bring the Red Sox because the Red Sox always travel well. But like I would like to see like a big opponent. Like bring the Mets in here, bring the Braves in here, bring a division of one of those bigger name division opponents in. Have a good series. Try to sneak 2 or 3 away from them, but just a big time win against one of them. Like it would be great to have like a 10-0 win against the Mets. So I bet the Philly fans will love it. They'll get absolutely insane. It'll be a giant fight in the parking lot with that one random Mets fan. It'll be amazing. Like that's what we need. Like we haven't played that big name opponent. Like we haven't brought in like the Dodgers. Like whenever we bring them in, like I would have loved to have seen the Astros come in here because that would have just been a big hostile environment. They would just yell "fuck Altuve" the whole time, even though he's not playing.
So we do start this tough 16-game stretch, like I said. And when I said this on Twitter yesterday, it was like, oh, all these teams are 500 or below. They're not as good as I think. They're good teams. The Mariners, the Astros, the Dodgers, the Red Sox. They're all good teams. Let's start with it tonight. We got Seattle. J.P. Crawford comes home. Former Phillies top prospect comes home. I don't even think anybody even realized. Half of Phillies fans, all the new fans, don't even know who J.P. Crawford is. How do you think they get out of it? So I'm really saying this next 16-game stretch is where I'm going to judge this team. You start with 3 against the Mariners, a good team. Not a great team, but better than the opponents we've been playing. What do you look for in this series, and how do you think this next couple games go for this team?
I will get to that, but I remember you mentioned that no one knows J.P. Crawford. When I was covering the Iron Pigs last week, Jorge Alfaro was catching for the Red Sox.
I saw you post that. I totally forgot about him.
Commented and I said, "Oh, former Philly." They're like, "No, he's never been part of the Phillies." I'm like, "Then you don't know the trade that sent JT Realmuto to Philly." Then, but yeah,
he had already. Hold on. Alfaro had already played in the majors for the Phillies a few times at that point.
He was the Phillies catcher when we traded him.
I don't know if he was the full-time catcher or not at that point, but yeah, I remember that.
At that point, we didn't have a catcher. We had a body back there.
Hey, he was a hot prospect coming up. He was supposed to be, a power hitting catcher.
Well, now he's back in AAA, so he's doing great. He's in AAA on a team that needs a catcher.
Yeah,
it says a lot.
He's a roster filler on a minor league team.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let's get sidetracked for a half a second here. Could you imagine putting your entire life into being a baseball player or athlete of any sport, and then getting to the pinnacle, getting to that point where you want to be in majors, and then just completely bottoming out and just being a lifetimer? Like it goes with Scott Kingery too. I mean, Scott Kingery's 29 years old now, and he's in the last year of that big deal. Like, I couldn't imagine what it's like for one of these players to just get there and then like, damn, I'm not good enough. I got to stay in the minors for the rest of my career. It's got to be an awful feeling.
Yeah, That probably does it. Probably awful feeling. Scott Kingery looks like he's enjoying his life so much.
He's making good money playing in a stressless AAA, you know?
Yeah, I mean, at that point, like I would be like, I'm in heaven. I'm getting paid decent amount of money to play pretty mediocre baseball right now. Like, I have a pretty good life. Like occasionally I'll get called up to the Phillies. So I'll just make a quick guest appearance and then go back down to Allentown.
Yeah, I won't lie. I was thinking about Scott Kingery a little bit yesterday for some reason. I always think about Scott Kingery for some reason because there was so much potential there. And Scott Kingery is going to get another job with another baseball team organization after this year because he's not on our 40-man roster. He's going to be available because of the fact that he can play 18 positions in baseball. Like he will literally have a minor league contract with an invite to spring training next year to some organization. And if it's a bad team, say like the Pirates or the Athletics, he might even get another chance in the bigs in another organization. It's just he'll never get another chance on a contending team, at least not anywhere near this time frame right now.
Oh no, he's gonna be a lifelong minor league guy for a good team, or he's gonna be a lifelong utility guy on a bad team.
Yeah.
Like there's no in betweens.
So, excuse me. So anyway, back to the point. How do you think they come out in this Seattle series? Do you think they can carry on the momentum from that Rocky series? And let's just say, can they take 2 or 3 this week? I mean, I think taking 2 out of 3 against the Marlins would be a good start to this 16-game stretch.
I think winning 2 or 3 is definitely a possibility. Should be the goal. I obviously the goal is to win every single game. But realistically, like they're not going to win every single game. They're not going to come out of this next 16 games 16-0. They're not going to win every single game. They're going to lose games from here and there. So I always think the goal should be to win the series. Don't just try to go for the sweep. Like you're going to drop some games. It seems like the Phillies hitting always goes cold when a pitcher has a great outing. That's gonna happen. It's just how the Phillies lineup is. Like they're gonna go cold at random times. I don't even know the pitching matchups this
You
week.
got Strom, Falter, or Strom. There, you got Falter, Walker, Strom going for the Phillies in this 3-game set. So it's like the Houston series. We've got
Right.
Nola and Wheeler going. This series, we got our 2 back end guys going. They got Gilbert, Gonzalez, and Kirby. I know Gilbert's a really solid pitcher, at least has been this year. I don't know about the other guys yet, but you know, we've got the back end of our rotation who has actually been better, but you know, they're still the back end guys
Yeah.
going in this series.
No, I think 2 or 3 is definitely realistic. I don't think people should be surprised if we go 1-2. However, that's just how the Phillies are gonna be. But I definitely think 2 or 3 is a definite big possibility. I think it's gonna be key if they want to try to take a possible 2 or 3 from Houston after that. If they only win 1 or 2 from Seattle, you can't. The goal should be a win against the Astros. Just how
Right.
the offense is gonna be.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you. Do you think there's a little added motivation for that Phillies team to beat those Astros when we get to there next year?
Oh yeah, 1000%. I mean that's
We'll get
the
we'll get
first.
to this in a minute. We're wrapping up the Phillies talk. We're going to talk Jimmy Butler for a minute on this show after I wrap up here. So Lynch, hang tight for a second.
I think that was the first series I looked at when the schedule came out. Like when do we play Houston? Please tell me Houston comes to Philly. Unfortunately, we got to go there, but like that was the series everyone wants to watch, especially for the Phillies. Like we want revenge, and obviously I would love to beat them come November, October. Like a series in the end of April doesn't mean shit to us right now. Like I want to see them in November. That's when I want to see them again. I want a World Series rematch, and I want to beat them again. That's what I want right now. But like even then, they're not even at 100%. Like they're still kind of a new team. Like they lost Verlander. Altuve's still hurt. They've added a couple pieces. They lost a couple pieces. Like it's not the same team, but like there's still a bunch of guys that if I was a pitcher, I would love to just beam with a 100-mile-per-hour fastball. Still in that lineup right now.
Oh man. Anyway, so we're gonna wrap this segment of the show up here. So we got Adam Mack from AAT Sports. He's a Iron Pigs reporter. He covers them as a credentialed media member, writes for the Phillies, and he's got his Frankly Phils podcast. Just follow him on Twitter at MacAdam19. You can find everything there. Tonight, 9 p.m. I normally have my golf podcast at 9 p.m. I am thinking of postponing my golf podcast just to listen to yours because he's got tonight legendary Philly, Mickey Morandini. Like, I need to know. And I know somebody there at AAT Sports is great at pulling videos and audio, you need to get a Harry Callis clip of him saying Mickey Morandini to intro Mickey Morandini on your show.
I've been trying to find a Dan Baker one actually for right now.
Dan Baker,
But
that would be a great one too. Celebrating 50 plus years now. Mark wants to know if he can get a hoagie hat. Yeah, I saw that yesterday. Like, what the hell's going on? Why do we need to?
Hey man, AAA has the best team names ever. I would love the Lehigh Valley Hoagies, man. I'm all for it. I love those team names.
Like all minor leagues, they have the best names, but they also have the funniest promotions randomly. Like they always have like the most odd things. You can always get a great Legends wrestling tournament at a minor league baseball game post game. You can see, the Iron Sheik probably is still out there wrestling, for some AA baseball team in between the innings and stuff like that. So it's always hilarious what's going on in AAA. But Adam, thank you very much for joining me today. I greatly appreciate your time. You're doing great work covering the Phillies and the Iron Pigs. Much appreciated, my man.
Good. Thanks for having me on, man. Always a pleasure.
Enjoy that Mickey Morandini interview tonight, man.
Now the expectations are high. Hopefully he shows up.
He seems like a pretty well down to earth guy. I don't think he would not show up. It's not like you're talking about T.O. or Freddie Mitchell here, somebody that would just like, we'll just blow this kid off. No big deal. We're talking about Mickey Morandini here. And if he does blow you off, he will go on the blacklist of people I hate. We'll just say that.
That's all I need right there.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Everybody, Adam Mack, make sure you shoot him a follow at MackAdam19. Thank you very much, Adam.
Thanks, Phil.
Thanks. That was my man Adam Mack right there. Let's reset for a second here. This is Trending in the AM right here on Philadelphia Sports Network. Again, shout out to my guest there. Great insight, great commentary, great discussion there. Talking Phillies, but we got to get back. Make sure you hit the like, the subscribe button tomorrow. Nick Faria covers the Eagles and the NFL for Philadelphia Sports Network. Will be joining me. We'll get back into draft talk tomorrow. We'll continue what we opened the show up with the Jalen Hurts talk and the Jalen Hurts talk and the Aaron Rodgers trade a little bit. We'll get more into that. We might talk about that here in the next few minutes too, but I want to bring up this post here, this comment from Marshawn Lynch 33, that Jimmy Butler jersey. It's been hanging there for a long time, my man. The time the Sixers chose Tobias Harris over him. I wanted to address the second half of that comment for a second, because the Sixers did not choose Tobias Harris over Jimmy Butler, and I think that's a common misconception. Wish we still had Butler. He killed, dude. I mean, I didn't watch a lot of the game last night. I watched some of it, more of the second half of the game. But to address the thing, first and foremost, he was nuclear last night. When you see this, it just drives us crazy that Jimmy Butler is still, I mean, he ain't no spring chicken. The Sixers chose Ben Simmons and Brett Brown over Jimmy Butler. The Minnesota Timberwolves chose Karl Anthony Towns over Jimmy Butler. Everybody keeps choosing somebody else over Jimmy Butler. And I'm not getting worked up. Not getting worked up over Tobias. Tobias has had great playoffs. It's just the thing is, people don't understand that they gave Tobias Harris the contract because they had already lost Jimmy Butler. And they traded so much for those two players, they couldn't lose both. They had to save faces to the organization and at least give a contract to somebody, and that was the guy, because somebody else would have given Tobias the same contract. They would have. And that city would have had the same situation. But they chose Ben Simmons and Brett Brown over Jimmy Butler, and then the unfortunate side effect was giving Tobias the contract. Butler made Ben uncomfortable and challenged Brett Brown. Exactly. This right here is what I'm talking about. This is why Jimmy Butler, and I still get flack for it. I still wear that in public. Like, I know, like, I would never wear a Ben Simmons or Donovan McNabb or a Carson Wentz out in public. But that Jimmy Butler Sixers jersey, when I go to the beach, still comes with me. And I don't even like basketball jerseys. I don't like wearing them in public. I know they didn't choose Toby. They just, yeah. Look, I mean, has there ever been an athlete like Jimmy Butler that polarizes the city so much? I mean, it's crazy. And that so many cities have chosen to let him go. And he also played in Chicago. I don't know who they chose over him in Chicago, but he's been run out of 3 cities just because he plays too hard. He practices too hard. He cares too hard. It's crazy that we only traded Dario Covington, Bayless, and a second. Was that all it was? Man, and we let him walk. I mean, I'm still a homie fan, Dario Saric. I love Dario Saric and Robert Covington. He played a good role. Jared Bayless, I totally forgot who he was for a second. I had to think. I was stalling to remember his first name. Um, man, he was a bad. He was not good. He was brought in the end of the rebuild, the beginning of the playoff runs. Man, I totally forgot he was even on the Sixers. I wonder if he's even in the NBA anymore at this point. I don't know. But the only reason why Jimmy Butler is hated by so many players or so many teams, and he's one of those like hard-nosed managers that runs their course and has to leave. He's just a hard-nosed player that just never gives up, just keeps practicing. And he's notorious for getting to the gym at 5 a.m. working out. And he calls out players like Ben Simmons in Philly, like Karl Anthony Towns in Minnesota, when they don't want to match the effort. And last night, I mean, Milwaukee falls 3-1. That series isn't over. Milwaukee still got a slight chance, but I mean, Jimmy Butler at his age played 41 minutes last night with what's he got? I forget what they called it, but it's basically like a bruised butt. He's got like a bruised tailbone or something like that. Who's had a tougher Philly breakup for us? Jimmy Butler. T.O., I don't know. See, when the T.O. situation happened, Lynch, I was on the Donovan McNabb side. I don't know why. I don't remember. That was a long time ago. I'm old. But Jimmy Butler, if we would have just ran it back, I think the next year we win the title. I really do. I really think if we would have ran it back with J.J. Redick, with Jimmy Butler, with everybody, even Tobias Harris and Brett Brown, I think we win the title. It is nuts that they're down 3-1. But you think about it, at his age, 41 minutes with a bruise somewhere on his lower back region, 56 points and 9 rebounds. I mean, the guy is. We joked about Bryce Harper as a machine earlier in the show. Jimmy Butler was a machine as well. Yeah, T.O. was quasi self-inflicted by himself. It was quasi self-inflicted by Drew Rosenhaus. It was quasi self-inflicted by Don McNabb, by Joe Banner, by Andy Reid. There were so many people that played a factor in that. The Jimmy Butler thing just breaks my heart because I don't know if we win a Super Bowl the next year with T.O. Maybe we do, maybe we don't, but we definitely win a Super Bowl or a World Championship with Jimmy Butler on the Sixers the next year. I don't doubt that. Yeah, I mean, nowadays I realize that McNabb was just an ass. There's just no doubt about it. He was just an ass. Plain and simple. And he was probably a lot more wrong in a lot of situations that I was willing to give credit. Look, it doesn't hang up in the background, but I still got my McNabb jersey hanging up right there. When I don't exercise, but it's there as, mat my head when I exercise on my bike right there. But Jimmy Butler, man, and got to give him credit because the guy still is super close with Joel Embiid. After the game, he's asked about the MVP chance in the arena, and the announcer, I think it was ESPN last night, was like, "Yo, did you hear them chanting MVP?" He's like, "No. You know who the MVP is, Joel Embiid." And it's crazy, it's not going to happen, but there's still that connection between Joel Embiid and Jimmy Butler. And I think how this series goes against Boston, which, before I get into that, I really wanted Miami to beat Atlanta in that 8-9 game or 7 to who gets the 7 seed, because I really wanted Miami to play Boston to beat up on Boston. They're beating up on Milwaukee, which just goes to show that whoever wins the Boston-Philly series probably gets the gets the championship game or championship round. But anyway, if the Sixers get blown out by Boston and the series wraps up in 5 games, I know, Mark, you don't think that's going to happen, but just say it does. This team's going to go through some major turnover, whether it's coaching, players, lots of things. And you got to think that Jimmy Butler and Joel Embiid are going to be chirping through social media that they want to get back together. I've heard rumors that Miami's going to make some changes as well. Is there a scenario where Joel Embiid wants out of Philly to go to Miami to play with Jimmy? Or is there a scenario where Jimmy forces his way out of Miami to come back to Philly? I don't know. At this point, Jimmy Butler's getting up there in age. I'm not sure how I would feel. Well, yeah, no, Jimmy Butler addressed the media person saying that the fans he heard the fans, but it was Joel. He acknowledged, he acknowledged Joel Embiid as the MVP in the interview. And this is what This is what I'm getting at. Like, I don't know if he does. I don't think he does. But him and Jimmy, they still want to play together. I don't know. I mean, there's a small chance. There's a small chance. I don't think it happens. I think he wants to win here in Philly. But if he gets that MVP, which he probably does, I don't even know when they announced the MVP. But if he gets that MVP, the only thing missing now is a title. He's proven to be one of the most dominant players in NBA. He'll go down as one of the best big men of all time. But every player, they want two things. They want that recognition as an MVP or some award, and they want titles. Does Joel Embiid after this, if he sits down with Daryl Morey and Doc Rivers and the front office isn't going to make the changes he wants, does he say, well, I think we need this. If you don't make these changes, I'm skedaddle and doodle. I want out. Maybe. I mean, I wouldn't put a high percentage chance on it, Marshawn, but I think I don't even want to think about it, honestly. I don't, because I want to focus in on Boston. I want to focus in on that series. But, man, you look at the NBA last night, and you look at the playoffs, and these playoffs have been insane with some of the games going on. And you see what Jimmy Butler at his age does, and 38-year-old James Harden, or not James Harden, LeBron James, what he did last night. 45 minutes in an overtime game, and he basically distributed. He ran the point. I mean, the Lakers are beating Memphis. I actually called that. I said the Lakers were my second favorite team to come out of the West. It was going to be the Phoenix Suns or the Los Angeles Lakers. They're going to make the second round of the playoffs. They're beating the number 2 seed Memphis Grizzlies in that series. It's crazy to think. It really is. And then you think about Miami. They're probably going to come out from the series against the Bucks. They got 3 games to win 1. And then they're going to get the Knicks, probably. Maybe the Cavs, but probably the Knicks. The Miami Heat are going to be playing in the Eastern Conference Finals again. And again, they're not a fancy team. They're not a flashy team. But they got 2 things. 2 things. And it's 2 things that the Sixers don't have. They've got an amazing coach in Spoelstra. And I've said this before. He is an excellent coach to be able to go from the LeBron Big 3 era, where you're basically just managing personalities, and then they strip it down and start all over, and he's always got this team contending again. He's made the finals again with the Jimmy Butler team during the bubble year, and he's got the team contending again this year. They lost Tyler Hero, and they're still beating the Bucks. Spoelstra does not get enough credit for how good of a coach he is. He is one of the best coaches in the NBA. He's one of the best coaches in the last 10, 15 years in the NBA, period. And then they got a pure leader like Jimmy Butler. Like, Joel Embiid's a leader, but not the style of leader that Jimmy Butler is. James Harden's not that guy. Tobias Harris is not there. Tobias Harris is a better leader than he's given credit for. He really is. And if you really pay attention to the games, like during stoppages of plays and in between, buckets, you see him really on the court coaching and on the bench coaching the other players. But we don't have that leader like Jimmy Butler or, Seth Curry or some of the other, pure leaders in the league. We don't have that. Miami has an amazing coach and a bona fide playoff star. I mean, Jimmy Buckets, it is what it is. It's crazy. And I don't know what happens after the season, because I don't know what happens next round. I don't know if we beat Boston. You send in a complaint to the NFL for what? For the Packers robbing the Jets in the Aaron Rodgers trade? We started the show talking Jalen Hurts and Aaron Rodgers. We can wrap it up with that and just say that Aaron Rodgers, I'm so glad the trade's over. But let me tell you something. The Jets in 1 year will completely regret it. Hey, they might regret it in 6 months. They might regret it in 3 months. They might regret it by week 3 of the season. It's going to go down as one of the, it's crazy to think that Brett Favre leaves Green Bay, goes to the Jets, stinks. And now Aaron Rodgers leaves Green Bay and goes to the Jets, and I mean, people are like freaking out that they're going to have the greatest offense in the world. And Breece Hall is a really good young running back, and Garrett Wilson's a really good young wide receiver. But Aaron Lazard, he's like a number 4 wide receiver. He couldn't win anything with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. Why is he going to win anything with the Jets and Aaron Rodgers? Marcel Hardman, the guy's like a 5th wide receiver and a punt returner with Kansas City. And now all of a sudden he's going to win titles with Aaron Rodgers? Stop. The Jets might win 8 games this year, and that's a big improvement, but they are not, you heard it here first, on April 25th at 9:30 in the morning. The Jets will not win the Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, Jordan Love will be a Jet in 2020. It's crazy. Rodgers is washed. Basically 2 seconds, but it'll probably be a second and a first because realistically speaking, he'll play enough this year that'll turn into a first-round pick. But whatever. Yeah, I already saw that. Maybe a first. Yeah. See, that's the thing. In Saturday Pro Football, I say this on the show all the time. I don't know if you've heard it in the few weeks you've been following me here on the show. Timing in sports is everything. The Jets are all in on Aaron Rodgers. But we don't even have to talk about the rest of the AFC. Just the AFC East. They still got to get past the Bills and the Dolphins. The Dolphins aren't as good as people think, but they're better than, they're a 9-10 win team, the Dolphins. The Bills are going to win 13 games. So the Jets might not even finish in the top 2 in their division. You heard it here first. The Jets are not making the playoffs with Aaron Rodgers. Look how great it worked out for Denver, trading all these assets to get Russell Wilson. And bad timing. It was not just a bad team, but it was bad timing. Look, we're going to wrap up Training the AM right there. That's the end of the show today. Tomorrow, Nick Faria, Philadelphia Sports Network, covers the Eagles, the Jets, covers a lot of teams, and the NFL draft. We're going to talk NFL draft. We'll try to stick to a lot of football tomorrow on this show. So bring your football thoughts, your questions, your comments. Timing like it would have been better if he wasn't a grandpa. Pretty much. Anyway, we're going to wrap it up right there, okay? Make sure you tune in tomorrow. Make sure you hit like, you subscribe. Thank you very much to everybody tuning in and supporting this show on a daily basis. It's been a great week already. And the NFL draft is still 2 days away. I'm so excited. Tomorrow, Nick Faria. Friday, we got Shane Half from Chalk Talk and Bleeding Green Nation joining me. We got so much going on. We might even run a mock draft on Thursday. I don't got any guests scheduled for Thursday. We might run a mock draft, and we'll see how that all goes. But tune in. Everybody have a great Tuesday. For Philadelphia Sports Network, I am Phil Stiefel. You all have a great day, and we'll talk to you tomorrow, 8:30 a.m., right here on Philadelphia Sports Network.